relationship and how you should capture or document that, right? देखिए, law तो हम जितनी भी legal की बात करते हैं, we are essentially talking about documenting our rights and documenting our obligations, कि हमने क्या करना है और क्या हमसे expected है और क्या हम expect करते हैं दूसरों से, वो चीज एक legal contract is in its essence that's what it does. So the first thing that I recommend to co-founders is कि सबसे पहले अपनी relationship को easily document कर दें. I'm not saying you should have a complicated shareholders agreement or a complicated partnership agreement, but what I am saying is that you should have very clearly defined what you expect from your co-founder. ठीक है ना? Both founders should clearly define कि आप लोगों की आपस में एक दूसरे से expectation क्या है. The way you can go about that is by very simply answering questions such as कि काम क्या करना है, रोल्स किस तरह से डिवाइडेड होंगे. शुरू में स्टार्टअप में सब चीजें सबने करनी होती हैं, एंड ऑब्वियसली इट्स इम्पॉसिबल टू ड्रॉप दिस एग्जॉस्टिव लिस्ट जिसमें आपका क्या नाम है, आपके अलावा किसी और का वो जिसमें सबके सब आपने हर बात लिखी हुई हो, हर काम जो आप फोरसी कर रहे हैं फ्यूचर में, हर काम आपने आइडेंटिफाई किया हुआ हो, हर चीज आपने अलग से देखी हुई हो. इट्स नॉट पॉसिबल. बट व्हाट इज पॉसिबल इज जो आपके नोन्स हैं, कि जो जिन चीजों पे आप क्या नाम है, yes I can share my screen now and let me just pull up this slide that I want to share. Yeah, so the first thing you can do is whatever your knowns are, like you know कि यार ये काम तो होना है, like for example a CTO, you know the product is being developed there, right? And that's easy. But then उसके अलावा एक आपके फिर unknowns भी होते हैं. So it's a good way to tackle that कि आपके पास एक छोटा सा framework होना चाहिए कि यार किस nature का काम मेरी जिम्मेदारी है, किस nature का काम मेरे co-founder की जिम्मेदारी है. And of course what you really are relying on co-founders is trusted partners, right? You're talking about people who obviously will not be like लकीर के फकीर and be like यार ये मैंने agree किया था, इसके अलावा मैं और कुछ नहीं करूंगा, ठीक है ना? एक दो बार चलता है ना. ऑब्वियसली इट कांट बी अ पैटर्न ईदर के बस मैंने सीटीओ बन के आया था लेकिन मुझे चीफ ऑपरेटिंग ऑफिसर बना दिया और उसके अलावा मुझसे कुछ और नहीं करा. सो ऑब्वियसली दैट एक्सपेक्टेशन इज मैच. सो इफ यू कैन जस्ट सी दिस स्लाइड, द फर्स्ट थिंग इज देखें, trust is key and legal enforcement is weak. By weak I mean it's slow and it's expensive, and most likely you won't really get anything out of it, right, at the end of it, unless you talk about big stakes and unless you're talking about actually a big sums of money. It's not super strong. So in order the important way to turn around is to have clearly defined expectations, to have clearly defined roles. The two reasons why I've seen most co-founders fights is when either the founders want different things for the company, which is fixable, which means कि यार ये हमारा e-commerce segmented होना चाहिए या हर चीज होनी चाहिए इस पे. So are we only selling medicines online or are we selling everything online, right? So that's wanting different things for the company, but that's fixable because the market will put you in check, and just your experience generally moving towards building the startup will put you in check. So I would say कि वो फिर भी सही है. But the other problem is when the founders want the same thing for themselves. Now that's difficult to fix when both founders want to be क्या नाम है, the CEOs, they both want to be coming on TV, they both want to be giving out interviews, or they both want a certain role. यहाँ पे मसला आता है. So बहुत जरूरी है कि आप लोग शुरू से ही ट्रस्ट की बेसिस पे उसको डेवलप करें. और it's not just trust, it's also I feel like most people aren't evil. Most people actually forget, and most people have different recollections of the same event. So it's very important कि आप लोग आपस में जो भी आपकी understanding है, even if you can just document this on क्या नाम है, an email, that's also good, right? Because at least you know कि what you've agreed on. So कल को ये ना हो कि अगर आपने agree किया हुआ है founder A will have 27% and कल को founder A just genuinely recalls कि नहीं 27 नहीं था, 27.5 था, right? Those are very difficult things, and those lead to bad taste, and those lead to at least one party's expectation is now going to be hampered, right? So बहुत जरूरी है कि आप अगर वही चीज अगर आप एक ईमेल अपना भले ईमेल थ्रेड बना लें, स्लैक बना लें, कुछ भी बना लें, उसमें अगर आप ये चीजें रिकॉर्ड कर लें अपनी अंडरस्टैंडिंग, that would really help you function very smoothly as founders. And again, my last advice usually to founders is always to focus on the pie. you could own 7% of $1 billion company, and that's a lot of money. You could own 70% of $1 million company, and that's not as much as, as the other one. So the idea is to always know that what you're building towards, and work towards that. Acha. Now coming on to आपकी जो startup की entity है वो क्या होगी? अच्छा, by the way, does anyone have any questions? Because मेरे पास यहाँ पे आपकी chat नहीं आ रही है. Because I have the screen on.
आपको टॉप राइट वैसे ऑप्शन आती है जिसमें आप देख सकते हो, व्यू ऑप्शंस के अंदर अगर आप देखो तो आपको देख सकोगे. बट या देयर इज अ क्वेश्चन, मैं आपको बताता हूँ. व्हाट आर डिफरेंट वेज फॉर को-फाउंडर्स शेयर? दैट इज शेयरहोल्डिंग एंड वोटिंग राइट्स, परसेंटेज इन रेवेन्यू, परसेंटेज इन प्रॉफिट, सैलरी. इनमें से कौन से ऑप्शन है वो पूछ रहे हैं. सो इनके पास कौन कौन से तरीके हैं जिसमें को-फाउंडर्स कैन शेयर देयर शेयर होल्डिंग?
Okay, that's a good question. So there are many ways in which co-founders can define their own relationship and can share shareholding amongst themselves, right? देखो, जब भी आप co-founder की बात कर रहे हो, you are essentially talking about equity. You are saying कि तुम्हारे पास भी equity है और मेरे पास भी equity है, and that's essentially the crux of it all. Just to give you just general, I might be like, going on a bit of a tangent here, but why are you building a company, right? You're building a company because you want to own an asset. Asset is very different from a salary and renting out your time. अगर आपको salary चाहिए, आप एंग्रो पे भी जाके काम कर सकते हैं, आप यूनिलीवर में जाके काम कर सकते हैं, बहुत अच्छी salary मिलेगी, benefits मिलेंगे, guaranteed होगी, stress कम होगा, uncertainty कम होगी. If you catch my drift, right? So what's really important is अगर कोई co-founder आ भी रहा है तो समझे कि उसकी motivation क्या है, right? And what would incentivize that person to give their best. You could always, like, be crafty with your deal, get away with certain things, but later on people start feeling those things, and later on you will struggle to retain that team. So essentially जो founders होते हैं, founder होते इसलिए क्योंकि उनके पास shares होते हैं, founder shares होते हैं. Founder shares are separate from ESOP. ESOP में आपके stock options होते हैं और उनकी valuation, उनकी चीज़ हम different तरीके से करते हैं. I'll come to that. But founder shares जो होते हैं, that's what you give to each founder. So yeah, so the co-founders के बीच में तरीका होता है आपका founder shares का, कि आपकी equity किस तरह split हो रही है. And I imagine जब co-founder equity split हो रही होती है उस कंपनी में और कोई नहीं होता, सिर्फ founders होते हैं. तो वो आपस में किस तरह equity split करते हैं, that's the more important bit. उसके बाद जो आपका क्या नाम है, after that what your important thing to look at is basically कि आपका वो after that what you're looking at is कि how does this person survive. Like वो सिर्फ shares पे तो वो घर नहीं चलेगा उसका, it's still a high risk वो thing. Now it comes to salary. Typically whenever, say, as VCs, whenever VCs are looking at whether a company के founders are their salary, founder salary जब consider की जा रही होती है तो उस वक्त देखिए multiple considerations होती हैं. एक consideration होती है कि your main incentive should always be equity. You should always be working towards that equity piece becoming so valuable that that's all the money you need, right? And you can obviously, when the company becomes more and more it becomes higher in value, founders can sell bits and pieces of their equity at that point for liquidity, right? If you're saying your company has reached 80, 100 or 200 million dollars in value, and you still own a large chunk of it, you could sell maybe 0.5% and get some liquidity, which घर खरीदना है या गाड़ी खरीदनी है, इस तरह भी आप कर सकते हैं. But what the investors are looking at is कि founder जो company से पैसे निकाल रहा है वो कम से कम, right? Because all the money that has come in should go towards growing the business and not just paying the founders off who are already incentivized with the equity. So obviously nobody wants you to be uncomfortable either. So it's just about paying you the minimum salary that you need to be comfortable, right? And that should also be a reflection of your market salary and what's reasonable as well. अगर आप बहुत एक पहले आप हबीब बैंक में executive vice president थे and your salary was, or whatever, wherever you were, and you talk about your salary was like 1.5 million a month type situation, अगर आप इस तरह 15-20 लाख रुपए महीना कमा रहे थे, तो obviously कोई नहीं कहेगा कि अब आप लाख रुपए में काम करें, because most probably it'll be very difficult for you to survive in a lakh. But 15 lakh भी कोई नहीं देगा. So we have to be somewhere around 4 to 5, enough for you to function in properly, your house to be functional. You should not be uncomfortable to the point where it becomes difficult for you to manage. So those are the considerations around how founders are kept motivated. But essentially what investors are looking for, or everyone's looking for, is a founder who is predominantly motivated by equity. Anyway, I hope that addresses your question. Let me move on. Sorry, this is to the form of business organization that you should adopt. Before I do that, I still can't see the chat, and which is kind of making me uncomfortable with this, because मैंने screen share किया, उसके बाद मैं chat नहीं है.
It's okay. If there are any questions, I'll let you know. अभी और कोई question?
Okay, so whenever I say ask the question bit, you can just read them out. Okay. अच्छा, now before we go on, whether आपको company incorporate करनी चाहिए, whether आपकी partnership होनी चाहिए, there are two basic fundamental concepts that you should understand. The concepts are separate legal entity and limited liability. Separate legal entity का मतलब बहुत simple है कि कानून की नजर में ये entity, company usually होती है और separate नहीं होती. वो चीज कानून की नजर में एक separate person होता है, चाहिए ना. That person, अब ये मैं बात कर रहा हूँ forms of business organization का, partnership, company, etc. So जब भी आप एक company बनाते हैं, वो कानून की नजर में एक separate legal entity होती है. वो capable होती है अपने company के नाम पे property own करने की, वो capable होती है company sue करने के लिए, business own करने के लिए, business sell करने के लिए. What you own are the shares in that company. So you're like, this company A or company XYZ Private Limited is a separate person, and I own 50% of that person, or I own 40% of that person. That ownership is reflected in shares, but we'll get to that. Limited liability is another concept that you need to understand. Limited liability concept hota hai कि जो आपका separate legal entity है, उसकी जो liability है, फर्ज करें उसने लोन लिया 1 करोड़ रुपए का, अब वो लोन नहीं पे बैक कर सकता, वो बिजनेस ठप हो गया, करोड़ रुपए नहीं है, जो भी एसेट्स थे सब खत्म हो गए. At that point, will the owners have to pay from their own pocket? No. If there is limited liability which a company offers you, the owners, whoever owns 5%, 10%, will not be liable to pay anything from their own pocket. It will be, आप कंपनी के एसेट्स देख लें, जो भी उसके एसेट्स हैं वो बेच के आप अपने 1 करोड़ रुपए वापस ले लें, एंड दैट्स इट. उसके बाद आप हमारे पीछे नहीं आ सकते अगर लिमिटेड लायबिलिटी ना हो. So for example, let me just move down. Say you're a sole proprietorship. Now sole proprietorship और partnership में एक फर्क है. Sole proprietor एक होता है, partnership में multiple हो सकते हैं, but essential feature एक ही है. Feature ये है कि आपकी एक separate legal entity नहीं होती, सही है, आपकी limited liability भी नहीं होती. So उस situation में क्या होता है, जो partners होते हैं वो ही liable होते हैं. So for example, if you have क्या नाम है, if you borrow money from a bank like 1 crore rupees and you can't pay it back, then the partners, जो individual partnership में partners हैं, उनको अपनी जेब से देना पड़ेगा. either वो घर बेचें, either वो अपना कंप्यूटर बेचें, अपना गाड़ी बेचें, कुछ भी बेच के आप ये पैसे वापस करें. कंपनी होगी तो कंपनी में अनलेस डायरेक्टर्स ने पर्सनल लायबिलिटी ली हुई हो या शेयर होल्डर ने पर्सनल गारंटी दी हुई हो, कंपनी इज लायबल. सो अगर कंपनी के एसेट्स नहीं दे पे कर सकती तो कंपनी विल बी लिक्विडेटेड, एंड दैट्स दैट. आपके पर्सनली आपके ऊपर कोई नहीं आ सकता. Now practically that's different. Practically तो banks आपको लोन ही नहीं करेंगे, but this is also an important concept to understand for liability point of view. For example, if you're a healthcare startup and you provide health advice and one of your advice is wrong and someone can prove that in court and turns out they have sued you successfully for 1 crore rupees, in a company you would be able to sell the company's assets and the company as a separate legal person would be liable, but in a partnership the partners are liable. The benefit of a partnership is that it's easy to register, it's easy to form, all you need to do is sign a partnership agreement, it's cheaper, your tax liability is less. But company का सीन ये है कि कंपनी में आपका इनकॉर्पोरेशन प्रोसीजर होता है, आपको SECP के साथ रेगुलरली फाइलिंग्स करनी होती हैं, आपको आपका टैक्स बर्डन आपकी इनकम पे ज्यादा होता है, और whenever you're making payment you have to deduct tax, you have to do monthly filings as well, etc. So compliance point of view से company is annoying, is irritating, but वैसे it's beneficial. Now when do I advise people to go for a company as opposed to a partnership, etc.? I would recommend कि देखिए, before you have product market fit, before you're raising external capital, we'll come to that, and before you are क्या नाम है, going into a business where your liability is very high or could be very high, I would say stick to a partnership. आप ना खर्चा करें कंपनी इनकॉर्पोरेट करें, आप ना अपना टाइम वेस्ट करें कंप्लायंस में, अपना टाइम वेस्ट करें हर तरह की चीजों में. If you still are just testing your business model out, you're testing out whether people even want it or not. So I would say wait till product market fit at least to see whether you should incorporate a company or not, because there's no point in you going through all of that and then finding out कि अच्छा ये तो चल ही नहीं रहा और अच्छा मुझे तो something completely different करनी है. Usually you can use the same company and do that, but maybe you don't want to do anything at all and maybe you're just moving on and doing something else. So I would recommend only open a company when you are now ready to operate the business. Otherwise, I would stick to a partnership in the early days, or maybe just work independently without even getting a partnership. And between the co-founders, you guys can just agree the moti moti बातें क्या है, किसका कितना share होगा, कौन क्या करेगा. So both the incentive and the work should be recorded. Maybe do it in an email, and obviously it has to be a relationship of trust, because if you don't trust your co-founder at this stage, this early stage, it'll be very difficult later on anyway. So yeah, so this is where the different forms of organization come in, and this is just the general broad understanding of what these forms are. Now, are there any questions that anyone has?
Yeah, so एक और question है जिसमें वो कह रहे हैं कि if one of the co-founder wants to leave after 1 year of business, what is the procedure to handle the situation in terms of equity, etc.? As the co-founder puts some effort in business, now he wants something back. I hope you get my point.
No, I understand that, and usually यही होता है. But देखिए, आपको मैं एक concept समझाता हूँ vesting का. I know our session will go all over the place and that's nice, because I feel like people are it's more interactive that way. So let me get straight to the concept of vesting. Vesting क्या होती है? Vesting is essentially आप ये कह रहे हैं कि किसी भी फाउंडर को अपने शेयर्स इमीडिएटली साथ नहीं मिल जाने चाहिए. So essentially what you're doing is you're saying कि वेस्टिंग में होता है क्लिफ होता है, फिर उस क्लिफ के बाद आपको पर मंथ वो होता है. क्लिफ का पीरियड होता है कि यार कम से कम इतना टाइम तो तुमने लगाना ही है. फॉर एग्जांपल देयर इज अ फाउंडर टू हुम 40% इक्विटी इज टू बी गिवन. ठीक है, आप बोल रहे हैं 40% इक्विटी तुम्हें 4 साल में मिलेगी. उसका मतलब क्या है? उसका मतलब यह है कि पहले साल first 12 months, if you leave within the 12 months, you get 0. ठीक है? At the end of the first 12 months, you get the first 10%, मतलब 25% of your equity. तो तुम्हें 10% वो मिल गया. उसके बाद हर साल तुम्हें maybe you could do quarterly, you could do biannually. So you can say हर 6 महीने बाद आपको 5% अब मिलते जाएंगे. और अगर आप 6 महीने में 3 महीने भी छोड़ के चले गए तो आपको उस 3 महीने का 5% का आधा 2.5% मिलता जाएगा. So idea being the founders are incentivized to stick around and to stay there. And this is also for ESOP. This is also for anyone who has equity. With equity comes your your vesting, because the idea is to keep the person incentivized. Now, if someone has put in 1 year of work in your business and say they were promised 40%, now come sit down, have a very good relationship कि यार अगर तुम्हारा वैसे भी होता तो ये 4 साल की वेस्टिंग पे होता, 4 साल की वेस्टिंग में भी होता तो कम से कम इसमें से तुम्हें 25% ही of whatever was promised to you. तो अगर 40% promise था तो उसमें से उसका 25% होता है 10%. So तुम्हें उसका 10% ही मिलेगा. So you know, stuff like this, but it has to be a commercially agreed thing. You don't want to shortchange anybody either. You want them to be incentivized as well. And अगर से उसने technical काम किया है तो you need that person to be there to help you transition. And अगर technical काम नहीं भी है, you can still use that person. So the kind of deal that I would do is I would request them, and fair deal would be कि यार I will give you this much equity, which is obviously much less than what the whole equity would have been had you stuck around, but I'll give you this much, but also do some work for this, right? Please इसके लिए कुछ आप मतलब don't despair. If you're a shareholder, work. If you are not if you don't want to do anything at all ever, then maybe you should not be a shareholder in an early stage business. Does that answer your question? I hope it does. Should I move on to the next part?
So we don't have any questions इसके अलावा.
I got मैंने chat भी खोल लिया, by the way. Finally figured that bit out. Acha, now before we move on to other topics about how you should think about legal compliance and all, let me just quickly take you through intellectual property. Intellectual property में आपके पास तीन किस्म की intellectual property rights होते हैं. एक होता है आपका trademark. Trademark, and I'm taking you through them very briefly because you should just understand what it is as opposed to know the nitty-gritty of it all, because that is something that varies from person to person. Anyway, तो सबसे पहले आपका ट्रेडमार्क हो गया. ट्रेडमार्क का मतलब ये होता है कि it's the name of your business, right? It's what so PepsiCo, yeah, Pepsi is a trademark. Mirinda is a trademark, even though they're owned by the same company, and the company can be called PepsiCo International. But your trademark is, क्या नाम है, each brand can be a trademark. Sometimes your entire company is your trademark. So Facebook Inc. is one trademark, Facebook. But then separate companies like Instagram have separate trademarks, which are their own. So trademark is your trade name. उसके अलावा इसमें so trademark has nothing more than what your trade name will be and what you will be operating as. उसके बाद then you have copyright. Copyright is artwork. Artwork includes music, it includes literary work, it includes any design work that you've done. That's number one, automatically copyrighted, but sometimes people go and get the copyright registration as well. But typically, if you can prove that you did it first, you have that copyright. Similarly with trademark, if you can prove that you are operating under a trade name before me, even if I've gotten the trade name registered, even then you have a right to it. But obviously that takes much longer if someone else registers that name before you, and then now you have to prove it, and now you're spending more money. So best thing to do is always go get register your trademark first. The last thing is, and which will also answer this question that just came up about electric bike design, is patent. Patent is something else. Patent is intellectually protecting an industrial process, right? So if your process is around क्या नाम है, it's say electric bike, I don't know about electric bike unless you're doing something very differently in it, and if you're using an engineering process that has never been used before, then yeah, sure, it might be, but not necessarily as always, right? So patent could be on a host of things. So just to give you an example of a startup that I was just talking to recently, they are making this arm sleeve. That sleeve can calculate, is for bowlers, is to see if a bowler's bowling action is correct, right? And that's patentable because no one has been checking bowlers and other people's bowling action, etc., through an arm sleeve. And the arm sleeve में जो उन्होंने जो technology use किया, जो processes involved हैं, वो भी unique है. So it has to be unique for you to be able to register it. It has to be unique for you to, and what do we mean by registration? We mean that nobody else should be able to do what we are doing. So yes, essentially you can only patent an invention that is something unique, right? It is not something that has been done before, because imagine someone patenting the wheel, right? Or patenting electricity, or patenting hybrid cars, or patenting like micro turbines to generate electricity. You can't, because that's essentially for the world to do. And the competing policy arguments are that you have to incentivize new inventors to be able to make a lot of money by their invention, and on the flip side, you have to incentivize क्या नाम है, you have to ensure that there is competition as well, and there's no monopoly. So if I'm the only one who can make a certain thing, I can charge whatever the hell I want, and that's a big problem, especially with pharmaceutical patents, etc. But anyway, from just a general understanding, this is how you should view your intellectual property rights, as opposed to what in terms of what the product you're building. When you talk about intellectual property rights in terms of your employees and your team members, everyone should be, in their employment contract, should be building the IP for the company. The company should own all the IP. And of course, if the company owns all the IP and you own the company shares, that automatically gives you a certain portion of their ownership. But again, your real value as founders, what you are banking on or what you would cash up on is the share of the company. And the company's share in a tech company is typically only valuable if the IP is there. So if Google search engine wasn't there, it's not worth much, right? Again, if Pepsi's brand is not there, I would argue Pepsi is not worth much, because more people can now know how to make this product, but the brand is still there, and that's what's valuable there. But the idea again is to make sure that all assets of the company of the business are owned by the company, and of course you own the company. And this is something that any investor or a third party, when they're coming into the company, now this is what our job is when we're coming into or investing in a business that we will hold shares of. What we need to determine is कि यार इस share की value क्या है? उस शेयर की वैल्यू वही है जो उस कंपनी के एसेट्स की वैल्यू है और उस कंपनी के बिजनेस की वैल्यू है. So that's the essentially that's something that you need to protect, and that's something that any investor would come in to get. Anyway, so there's a question which I think I should take. Mohyuddin, I'll take up your first co-founder question later, but I'll just start with the last one. Then how can I protect the design of my electric bike if it can't be patented, as it must have wheels, motor, battery, which can't be patented? How come I protect the design so it isn't copied by anyone else? So again, guys, if I'm making cars and if I'm Honda, and I make the Honda Civic, obviously my design is slightly different. Usme mera logo laga hua hai, but there's nothing that is unique in there, right? There's nothing that Honda is giving that nobody else is giving, unless you're coming up with something that's absolutely unique. So why would I buy a bike, right? If I'm going out to buy, let's think of it थोड़ा और zoom out करते हैं. अगर मैं एक बाइक खरीदने जा रहा हूँ, इलेक्ट्रिक बाइक खरीदने जा रहा हूँ, क्या मुझे एक ऐसी बाइक चाहिए दुनिया में सिर्फ एक है, या एक ऐसी बाइक चाहिए जो मैं क्वालिटी एक्सपेक्ट करता हूँ डिलीवर करने, वो क्वालिटी डिलीवर करती है? Say if someone can copy, I mean, people can make electric bikes right now. What would be this one part about your design that you don't want anyone to copy, right? Now that's the thing. Is that thing unique enough, or is that thing that's just something that you don't want people to copy? If it's something that's related to your logo, if it's something that's related to something like that along those lines, then sure, you can patent copyright your design in terms of like what the color bike would be or any particular design on it. Sure, your logo will be on it. Sure, that can be patented, or that can be copyrighted. But the concept of an electric bike, unless you're doing something very different, you can't, and people will copy you. This is like any business. People can copy Facebook. You can start Facebook today. There's nothing stopping you from it. You can start a new search engine like Google today, but and you could do it when they started as well. The thing about a business is to actually be able to compete with anyone, and because everyone will come at your business. If it's very, very lucrative, it's very successful, people will try to do it, and people have all over the world. Amazon came in, people tried to do e-commerce as well. So there's no way you can patent a certain concept, or you can intellectually protect a certain concept or a certain idea. What you can intellectually protect is basically trademark, and you can protect design and all. Now the Samsung example is because they claimed that Apple actually took part of this software and replicated the entire thing, and so replicated part of the entire design, which was patented by Samsung, not unpatented. It was something that Samsung went in and registered as intellectual property. If you are making something that is so unique that it can be patented, I give an example of a sleeve, then sure, register it. And once you register it, then yeah, you can prevent other people from doing it. But if you're not making anything like that, focus on how your product can be more durable. Because if I'm buying an electric bike, I want something that's durable, and focus on how comfortable it is, focus on how fast it can go, focus on those things, because people will eventually copy it anyway. Acha, now I think I'll take up the other question as well. If there is one founder and 3 co-founders, so guys, there's no such separate thing as founder and co-founder, right? It's everyone's a co-founder. Co-founder जब होते हैं, bound founder तब होता है जब सिर्फ एक ही founder होता है. And if there's more than one founder, everyone's a co-founder. Are the shares being split supposed to some 100%, like one has 40, the rest percent 60 would be distributed wholly? That's okay, fine. Now, I'm not entirely clear about the question here, but it doesn't have to be equal. It has to be based on whatever you everyone's input is, whatever everyone's level of risk is, whatever everyone's contribution is. So if you can देखो कंपनी में परसेंटेज तो 100 तक ही होनी पड़ेगी ना, चाहे कुछ भी होता है, 100 से कम तो नहीं हो सकती, because that's the number of shares, unless you're bringing a third co-founder or another party into the company who will own some shares as well. So co-founder के बीच में वो होगा. Either way, the idea is to give enough equity to everyone to reflect something that is beneficial for everyone, and that is something that incentivizes the founders, and that takes into account what that founder is looking to achieve from this business. So I hope that answers your question. So it's not necessary for you to have an equal split, but typically fair वही होता है, but it also depends on कौन कितनी contribution भी कर रहा है. Okay. Now let me bring you guys to the Now, how should you think about legal and compliance? Now ये एक दूसरी बात है. इस पे सबसे पहले I would not say get it. लॉ में जब भी लोग सोच रहे होते हैं और कंप्लायंस के बारे में जब भी लोग सोच रहे होते हैं, सोचते हैं कॉन्ट्रैक्ट, सोचते हैं अग्रीमेंट, सोचते हैं स्टैट्यूट, एंड ऑब्वियसली that is your legal system, and that is what law is as well. But what I want you to think about is कि why are those things important? आप क्यों एक अग्रीमेंट में चीजें लिखते हैं, आप क्यों लॉ में वो फॉलो करते हैं जो लॉ कहता है वगैरह, आप क्यों वो सारी चीजें कर रहे हैं? बेसिकली व्हाट यू आर डूइंग इज यू आर मिटिगेटिंग रिस्क, एंड basically risk is your entire business is just layers and layers of risk, and this is what Mark Andreessen argues in his onion theory of risk. He talks about के एक कोई भी बिजनेस जो होता है एक अनियन की तरह, एक प्याज की तरह, उसमें हर छिलके पे, हर उस लेयर पे रिस्क होता है, and all you have to do is de-risk each layer. You peel off each layer, and that's a layer of risk that you have. So market risk. Is the market big enough? Is the market willing to adopt something like this? Is the market ready for this business? Are you too early? Are you too late? Technology risk is, again, like the earlier questions by Mohyuddin around whether this can be patented, whether this can be copied. How quick is it for somebody else to copy it? Agar main, for example, Slack Slack is now not all there. Microsoft Teams have killed them, right? Product risk. Product risk, again, is it something that people want? Is it something that people can pay for? Will it cost more to make than what people would be willing to pay for it? Are there enough people who will pay for it? There's all sorts of risk, right? So if you're doing a biotech startup in Pakistan, I would say there's a hiring risk. Hiring risk here, will you find those people to help you build what you're trying to build? And then there's financing risk. So if you were to compete with Daraz today, what's your biggest risk? Do you have $50-60 million to start with? So, and if you're going to compete with a large e-commerce player in the market who's already spent a few $100 million on it, do you have the ability to match that amount? आपके पास उतने पैसे हैं कि आप उनको से आके उससे match? So these are all layers of risk. उस layer में एक और होता है founder risk. Founder risk में होता है कि क्या founder के पास ability है इस business को execute करने की, right? So overall, whenever you're thinking about legal and compliance, you're thinking about all the risks that there are, and you're thinking about whether you can de-risk your company as much as possible. Obviously, half of the risks are commercial, but some of those risks are legal, and they can be addressed by just right documentation, right processes. So for example, technology risk can be addressed by patenting your technology if it is something that's capable of being patented, or if it's a design thing, it could be design, it could be, if it's a content thing, your copyright, etc., and your ability to clamp down on rules, etc. So that's how you should think about compliance. You should think about in terms of risk. Risk कहाँ है मेरा सबसे ज़्यादा? अच्छा, जब हम compliance की बात करते हैं, दो तरह की compliance होती है, ठीक है ना? एक होती है रेगुलेटरी और एक होती है कॉन्ट्रैक्चुअल। रेगुलेटरी वो होती है कि जो आपके ऊपर कानून, मतलब स्टैट्यूट, लॉ वगैरह हर जगह से आई हुई होती है, एंड that's something you can't do anything about, and that's something that's the law of the land, and you have to comply with it. Then there's the other one, which is क्या नाम है, contractual compliance is contractual obligation is basically जो आपने खुद ने अग्री की, ठीक है ना? आप गए, आपने से कस्टमर को एक चीज बेच रहे थे, कस्टमर ने बोला मुझे तो चाहिए कि आप फलाना भी चीजें करें, for example, if you're selling software to a bank and the bank says कि यार मुझे तो आप SaaS based product बेच रहे हैं, बैंक कहता है यार मुझे तो अप टाइम चाहिए 100%, 99.9 भी नहीं, 100% ये अवेलेबल होना चाहिए, नहीं होगा तो मैं पैसे काटूंगा. Now, depending on your situation, you will either agree to it or not agree to it. If your startup is your first bank, and you're like, यार अभी तो जो भी बोलते हैं मान लो, फिर बाद में देखा जाएगा. पहले let's see if the product works and all. So those are contractual obligations. जो you have agreed to in a contract and they are now binding. ठीक है ना? Now there are two types of obligations to begin with, right? कि एक तो होती है आपकी approval की obligation होती है, ठीक है ना, कि मैंने एक चीज डिलीवर करनी है और या मैंने एक चीज मैं नहीं कर सकता उनसे पूछे बगैर, ठीक है. एक तो आपकी होगी अप्रूवल टाइप ऑब्लिगेशन. फिर आपकी एक होती है रिपोर्टिंग ऑब्लिगेशन. रिपोर्टिंग ऑब्लिगेशन होती है कि मैंने सिर्फ बताना है. सो फॉर एग्जांपल योर टैक्स रिटर्न. Your tax returns is a reporting obligation where you have to report to the government के यार मैंने इतने इतने वो करना है. उसमें obviously your tax payment obligation is separate where you have to actually pay tax. Someone is usually paying tax on your behalf if you're an employee, etc. That's different. But I'm sure I've explained कि दो types क्या है इसमें, या तो reporting है या तो आपकी restrictive है कि आप फलाना चीज कर ही नहीं सकते. I'll come to it. Now, for you to manage कि यार मैंने कहाँ कहाँ क्या क्या compliance करनी है, this is a 3-step process, right? सबसे पहले evaluate all existing relationships with all relevant stakeholders. सही ना? I've written shareholders, but I would say stakeholders. Stakeholders कौन होते हैं? Anyone who is related with the business, right? उसके बाद I'll explain this in more detail. उसके बाद you identify all the applicable documents, right? के और laws कि यार ये जो मैंने काम करना है इसमें मुझे फर्स्ट करें आपने 100% अप टाइम आपने गारंटी किया हुआ है एक बैंक के जो सॉफ्टवेयर को बेच रहे हो, तो वो मैंने कहाँ लिखा हुआ है? अच्छा, वो मेरे इस कॉन्ट्रैक्ट में लिखा हुआ है. फिर उसके बाद आप उसको रिव्यू करें बिफोर गोइंग अबाउट एंड मेकिंग अ डिसीजन. सो टू गिव यू अ बेटर सेंस, हियर्स अ लिटिल चार्ट, राइट? व्हाट हैव यू डन? यू मेड अ माइंड मैप. माइंड मैप में आपने क्या किया है? कंपनी है, ये आपकी बीच में आपकी कंपनी है, ऊपर आपके शेयर होल्डर्स हैं, लेफ्ट पे आपके लेंडर्स हैं, यहाँ पे आपके रेगुलेटर्स हैं, नीचे कस्टमर्स हैं. सो आई वोंट गेट इनटू लॉट ऑफ कॉम्प्लिकेशंस. आई वुड जस्ट से कि हम बात कर लेते हैं शेयर होल्डर्स की और कस्टमर्स की. शेयर होल्डर्स में आपके फाउंडर्स भी हैं और इन्वेस्टर्स भी हैं. आपने एक शेयर होल्डिंग एग्रीमेंट किया हुआ होता है, तो शेयर होल्डिंग एग्रीमेंट में बहुत सारी रिस्ट्रिक्शंस होती हैं. इन्वेस्टर्स अक्सर कहते हैं कि यार आप फलानी 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 चीजें नहीं कर सकते हमारी मर्जी के बगैर. And that's a very standard thing. It's called reserve matters, and that's a standard list of items. We can probably get into that when we're talking more about investment. So उसमें आपके ऊपर restrictions होती हैं. Similarly, आपने कस्टमर से भी बहुत सारी बातें एग्री की हुई हैं. अगर आप एक कंज्यूमर बेस्ड बिजनेस हैं, आपने उसमें आपकी वो होती है ना टर्म्स एंड कंडीशंस, जो कोई भी नहीं पढ़ता किसी भी वेबसाइट पे, लेकिन वो एक कॉन्ट्रैक्ट होता है, उसमें आपने चीजें एग्री की हुई होती हैं कि अगर फलाना होगा तो मैं ये चीजें करूंगा और फलानी चीज की मेरी कोई जिम्मेदारी नहीं. सिमिलरली एक प्राइवेसी पॉलिसी होती है. उसी तरह आपने अपने एम्प्लॉय से भी आपने चीजें एग्री की हुई हैं. आपने अपने से सर्टेन वेंडर से चीजें एग्री की हुई हैं कि फर्ज करें आप मेरे एक्सक्लूसिव वेंडर हैं, आपके अलावा मैं किसी और से कोई चीज नहीं लूंगा. सो वो भी आपकी रिस्ट्रिक्शन है. सो द आइडिया इज टू फर्स्ट सेट देयर पेंसिल पेपर, मेक दिस माइंड मैप कि यार मैंने किससे क्या क्या मेरी रिलेशनशिप है, ठीक है ना. रेगुलेटर से रिलेशनशिप जो है, फॉर एग्जांपल यू आर फार्मास्यूटिकल इंडस्ट्री में यू आर ऑपरेटिंग एंड वहां पे आपका रेगुलेटर है ड्रैप, या आपका रेगुलेटर है जो भी आपकी प्रोविंशियल फार्मास्यूटिकल रेगुलेटरी अथॉरिटी है, और वो आपको रेगुलेट करते हैं. तो आप वो भी एक एज अ रिलेशनशिप लिखते हैं कि यार इस बंदे को भी मैंने कुछ करना है. अब आपकी अगर आप कंपनी इंकॉर्पोरेट करते हैं तो SECP इज अ रेगुलेटर ऑफ योर्स एंड यू ओ ऑब्लिगेशंस टू द SECP एज वेल. सो ये इस तरह से होता है, जस्ट टू अंडरस्टैंड हाउ मेनी ऑफ योर ओन रिलेशनशिप्स आर यू अवेयर ऑफ एंड what is the nature of those relationships. Here's how I do it, right? So what I would do is कि आप सबसे पहले लेफ्ट कॉलम एक एक्सेल शीट खोलें. लेफ्ट कॉलम में आप अपना जो जिसके साथ रिलेशनशिप है उस पार्टी का नाम लिखें. फिर नेक्स्ट कॉलम में आप लिखें किन किन डॉक्यूमेंट्स में आपकी रिलेशनशिप कवर्ड है, ठीक है ना. अक्सर होता है जैसे इन्वेस्टर या शेयर होल्डर होता है, उसके लिए सिर्फ इन्वेस्टर या शेयर होल्डर्स एग्रीमेंट नहीं चाहिए होता, उसके और भी राइट्स होते हैं जो कंपनीज लॉ में होता है, जो आपके मेमोरेंडम या आर्टिकल्स एसोसिएशन में भी हो सकता है. सिमिलरली अगर एम्प्लॉई है उसका एम्प्लॉयमेंट कॉन्ट्रैक्ट है, फिर उसके बाद एम्प्लॉयमेंट कॉन्ट्रैक्ट के बाद उसकी कुछ जनरल प्रोटेक्शंस हैं जो लेबर लॉज में आपकी होती है, प्रोविंशियल और फेडरल. तो वो भी, अगर you don't have to go in extreme detail at this stage, but if you want to understand that's better. फिर उसके बाद you just put down all the restrictive clauses. I mean, you can make the next column as elaborate as you want, but what I would do is I would be like, यार, just to give me a snapshot कि मेरे investors मुझे क्या क्या चीजें कहते हैं कि ये चीजें तुम मुझसे पूछे बगैर नहीं कर सकते, तो मैं उन सारी चीजों को लिस्ट डाउन कर दूँ। ऑलरेडी मेरे SHA में होगा, वही मेरे कॉपी पेस्ट करके वहां डाल देना है। एंड आई व्हाट आई डू इज आई then whenever I need to see कि यार मैं फलाना काम करने जा रहा हूँ, should I do I need to get approval from my investors or not, you just open that Excel sheet and you know कि यहाँ पे ये है, you know कि क्या क्या चीजें आपको restrict करनी है। Eventually what will happen is there will be this funnel in your brain as your CEO. Now it doesn't have to be full, you should not, you're not required to remember everything, you're not required to know each word, each restriction, each document. What you will be capable of after doing this exercise is you will have this funnel in your brain which will allow you to have this transaction checklist. ट्रांजैक्शन चेकलिस्ट में क्या होगा, तुम सबसे पहले सोचोगे अच्छा यार मैं ये काम करने जा रहा हूँ, कोई रेगुलेटर तो नहीं मुझे इस काम करने से रोकता, अच्छा नेक्स्ट, अच्छा ये नहीं कोई रोकता, नेक्स्ट कोई मेरा शेयर होल्डर एग्रीमेंट में तो कोई रिस्ट्रिक्शन नहीं है, किसी शेयर होल्डर ने तो नहीं बोला था कि मैं ये चीज नहीं कर सकता, ओके नहीं कर सकता, ओके सही है, वहां पे भी कोई रिस्ट्रिक्शन है। देन थर्ड इज कहीं मैंने किसी वेंडर से तो नहीं एग्री किया हुआ कि फलानी चीज मैं आपके साथ एक्सक्लूसिव हूँ और कुछ नहीं कर पाऊंगा, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है, नहीं। फिर लास्ट में मैं कहूंगा ओके फाइन, डू आई हैव ऑल द requisite approvals in place? Requisite approval होते हैं if you have a company, since company is a separate legal entity, it is run by its board. You need to get board approval for a lot of different things, majority of things, unless you've gotten one blanket approval for the CEO in advance. Then you do the board approval, and then you look at all the other internal approvals, and then you do things. So the idea is to think about regulatory compliance in this holistic manner, where you can chart out your regulatory obligations, and then you can have a transaction checklist in your mind, or maybe one listed, an elaborate one. What this would ensure is that as a CEO or as a founder or as a COO or a CFO, whoever is in charge in a particular company, they should be able to tell whether person X is telling me the right thing or not, right? It's कि अगर कोई मुझे lawyer क्यों ना भी ना लगाए मेरी registration के बारे में, या कोई दूसरी side मुझे ये ना बता सके मैं क्या कर सकता हूँ क्या नहीं कर सकता हूँ, और कोई मुझे overall मुझे एक जनरल सेंस होनी चाहिए अपने बिजनेस के बारे में कि यार मेरी किस किस से क्या रिलेशनशिप है और उस रिलेशनशिप में मेरी क्या ऑब्लिगेशन है, मेरी क्या राइट्स है, ठीक है ना। ये अगर आप अपने सारे कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स और अपनी सारी रेगुलेशन को इस फ्रेमवर्क में देखना शुरू करेंगे, सो यू विल हैव अ मच बेटर अंडरस्टैंडिंग of what this relationship is and what it requires you to do. Is this helpful? Is there any question that you guys have in this regard? Can I answer any other question? Okay, so it says startups does not have enough resources to hire law firm or legal documentation and requirement. Also, law is not something simple to understand by self. So how someone can have legal protection with minimum resources? That's a very good question. Now, what do you need a lawyer for? Not a lot of things, right? If you go on the SECP website, उनके पास guides भी बनी हुई हैं, उनके पास incorporation आप खुद online भी कर सकते हैं. If you go on online, you'll have so many legal documents available that are for free. I also share some, we haven't gone into documentation and all, but there are documentation and all that are available that you can pretty much find online, employment contracts, they need to be adapted a little bit to Pakistani law, but you can find that bit of help, and that's not too expensive. But what I would say is कि मुझे पता है कि ये चीजें आप वैसे नहीं कर सकते. These things can't be. Excuse me. एक मिनट. मैं एक वीडियो कॉल करूँ. So I know I can't do क्या नाम है, a lot of things online, but I can't do a lot of things myself, and it's very difficult to understand. But there are resources online that help you do it, right? So if you look up, just Google things like if I'm doing a SaaS contract, what are the main things that a company SaaS provider should look at, right? If I'm doing an employment contract, what are the main considerations should I have in account, right? And then it becomes easier. बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है समझना कि एक रिलेशनशिप में क्या चीजें डॉक्यूमेंट होनी चाहिए, क्या चीजें नहीं डॉक्यूमेंट, और क्या टर्म्स मुझे प्रोटेक्ट कर रही हैं, क्या दूसरे को प्रोटेक्ट कर रही हैं. दैट्स द थिंग दैट यू नीड टू that you need to be cognizant of, that you need to be well aware of enough to really understand the document, right? And then you can ask someone. Then you can go to someone like me. यार ये मैं एक document पढ़ रहा हूँ, मुझे ये बात समझ में नहीं आ रही, लेकिन मैं ये चाह रहा हूँ उसमें हो. जैसे फॉर एग्जाम्पल एक एम्प्लॉयमेंट कॉन्ट्रैक्ट मैं चाह रहा हूँ कि उसमें मेरे एम्प्लॉय के ऊपर माय एम्प्लॉय शुड बी रिस्ट्रिक्टेड कि आईपी उसकी ना हो, आईपी सारी मेरे पास ट्रांसफर कर रहा हूँ. डू यू थिंक दिस क्लॉज वर्क्स वेल एटसेट्रा? एंड when you come with a specific question like that, it takes me less time as well to respond, as opposed to you coming to me and saying कि मुझे employment contract करना है, आप बताएं हम उसमें कर सकते हैं, या आप मैं किसी भी lawyer के पास जाए हम उसमें कर सकते हैं. When you put some work into it, say if you can't afford to be spending a lot on documents and you can't find a standard document online for what you're doing, then put some effort into it. People can help you around those little things. Achha, the next question is, what benefits can we can avail if we convert our partnership into private limited? Yeah, the biggest benefit is limited liability, right? कि अगर आपके पास limited liability का मतलब है कि कंपनी सू करेगी, सारी liability कंपनियों की होगी, आपकी as partners कोई liability नहीं होगी. उसके अलावा to be upfront, like if you are raising investment, or if then you can't get investment if you're not a company. For you to raise external capital, you need to be a separate legal entity which has limited liability and which is capable of giving shares. Because अगर आपके पास company नहीं होगी तो आप investment नहीं raise कर सकते. So that's another, और आप third party shareholders को अपने उसमें board में नहीं ला सकते. So that's another important aspect of why you should have a company as opposed to a partnership. Sure. So I think from my end, this covers whatever I needed to talk to you guys about. But if there's anything else that you guys have questions on, if anything that I can help you understand, I'd be happy to.
So guys, floor is open for questions. अगर किसी question है तो he can raise hand and I can unmute them. So yeah.
So is there any difference between non-executive directors and advisors? Yeah, I mean, non-executive director is a legal term that is used for public companies. Private companies में ऐसा कोई construct नहीं होता. So it's a board position. Advisors are people who are not necessarily क्या नाम है, executive directors or directors at all. They're just external advisors. Sometimes they're paid through shares. Sometimes they're paid through paid in cash, and that's pretty much it. Yeah. So उसमें कोई as such कोई फर्क नहीं. उसका difference is not relevant unless you have another issue that you're looking to solve.
So Mubarak, एक question मेरा है कि sometimes when we start a startup, तो at some point we need investment, right? So there are some legal practitioners who say कि भाई start में आप लोगों को अपना जो share holding है वो 100% नहीं करनी चाहिए. For example, if we are two co-founders, so we should leave a certain segment जो हम बाद में जो investor आ रहे हैं हम उनको allot कर सकें. For example, if we have 100%, तो उसमें से 30% दोनों co-founders रखें और 40% unspecified रहने दें, so that we can have certain percentage of the company जो जब कोई investor आता है तो we can give shareholders shareholding from that pie. So what do you say about that?
So अच्छा, so that's not possible, right? How can you have unspecified shares? So कंपनी के शेयर हैव टू बी इशूड इन सम पर्सन's नेम. कोई एंटिटी हो या कोई एक और कंपनी हो, कोई इंसान हो, कोई लीगल एंटिटी हो या कोई नेचुरल एंटिटी हो जिसके नाम पे वो शेयर्स इशू होंगे, वरना वो शेयर्स इशू ही नहीं होंगे. एंड अनइशूड कैपिटल तो अनइशूड है ना, वो तो भी इशू ही नहीं हुआ है. सो 100% टर्म्स में जब हम बात करते हैं, वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट शेयर्स दैट आर इशूड. एंड उसमें से अगर फर्ज करें आपने 100 शेयर इशू किए हैं, एक को फाउंडर के पास 60 है, एक के पास 40 है, तो वन को फाउंडर ओन 60%, द अदर ओन्स 40%. आप इसका जो भी नंबर बना लें परसेंटेज, तो आखिर में इशूड कैपिटल की 100% देखी जाएगी. So you can't have a separate pool which has not been allocated to anyone who will own it then. So that's the challenge. And you can always issue shares, so when your investor comes in later, आप नए fresh round of issuance कर सकते हैं और उसमें हो सकता है. अच्छा, now the question is, can a sole proprietorship company assign roles to like C-suite, chief executive, chief technical officer, chief commercial officer, or everyone with authority should be called a director? No, not everyone needs to be director. In a private limited company, only 2 people need to be directors. In public तो खैर 7 होते हैं, but private में सिर्फ 2 directors चाहिए होते हैं आपको. And you can give as many C-suite roles as you want. But just from a practical point of view, it's kind of funny when we see a company which is like 6 months or 3 months old and not much to show for, and 5 लोग हैं, पांचों के पांचों C-suite executives हैं. So वो थोड़ा उसका थोड़ा ख्याल रखिएगा. But other than that, there's no legal restriction on that. Next question is from Aisha. It's can't we just give the shares to the company itself as it is a legal entity? No, a company cannot own its own shares. That's the biggest problem with the law. And listen, there's 2 concepts. There's a concept of a transfer. There's a concept of issuance, right? A transfer is, for example, मेरे पास 20 shares हैं, मैंने उसमें से आपको 10 दे, ठीक है? आप उसके बदले जो पैसे हैं आप मुझे दीजिएगा, वो मेरे जेब में जाएंगे. इशुएंस होती है कि मेरे पास 20 शेयर हैं, मेरे को फाउंडर के पास 20 शेयर हैं, हम दोनों 40 शेयर हैं टोटल कंपनी में, और हम दोनों 50-50 पार्टनर्स हैं. अब हुआ ये कि एक और इन्वेस्टर आया, उसने बोला मैं तुम्हें लाख रुपए दे रहा हूँ 33% के लिए. तो हम क्या करेंगे? हम 20 नए शेयर इशू करेंगे. तो अभी कंपनी का टोटल शेयर्स थे 40, अब कंपनी के टोटल शेयर्स हो जाएंगे 60. मेरे पास 20 रहेंगे, मेरे को फाउंडर के पास 20 रहेंगे, और इन्वेस्टर को 20 मिल जाएंगे. पहले मेरी परसेंटेज थी 50, लेकिन और मेरे शेयर से 20, क्योंकि वो टोटल 40 है. अब मेरी परसेंटेज हो जाएगी 33%, 0.3%, but मेरे shares वही 20 रहेंगे. Same with my co-founder, and the new investor coming in would get 20 new shares for which their shareholding will be 33% as well. So that's how issuance works. And whenever a new investor comes in, so in this case as well, वो लाख रुपए कंपनी के अकाउंट में डालेगा, कंपनी उस लाख रुपए के बदले नए 20 शेयर्स इशू कर देगी. So the idea is कि इसके शेयर इशुएंस होती है जब भी नया इन्वेस्टर आता है. तो एग्जिस्टिंग शेयर कैपिटल हमेशा 100 पे होता है, सबकी परसेंटेज चेंज होती है, लेकिन नंबर ऑफ शेयर सबके सेम है. आई होप आई हैव एक्सप्लेन्ड दैट.
Okay. So guys, do we have any other question? To all the startups, you know, आपकी assignment आने वाली है legal के ऊपर, तो आप लोगों ने assignment पढ़ी हुई है. So if you have any question from that assignment, you can ask Mubarriz. He's here.
Yeah, I'd be happy to help.
Okay, so I guess so quick question नहीं है.
Sure, you can always reach out to me. You share my email address. I'll actually type it up right now. मैं सबको भेज देता हूँ. And reach out to me if you guys have any questions that are more specific. The more specific the question is, I mean, the easier it is for me to understand, and the less time it takes, I'll actually respond quickly. Otherwise, they lag jati hai when you walk down with other shit. So feel free. I'm generally available LinkedIn, वगैरह पे भी. So doors are open. So don't worry about it, and feel free to get in touch.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Mubarriz, for this very educating session. और startups के भी बहुत सारे questions जो हैं वो answer हो गए थे. जो रह जाएंगे, they can always, you know, reach out to you. Mubarriz's email address is here. So yeah, thank you very much, guys. Thank you for joining today.
Thank you, Mubarriz. Thank you for joining us. And we'll be bothering you आगे भी. If you have any challenges and ऐसी Peshawar related या हमारे कोई startups, so we'll keep on bothering you. Okay.
No bother at all. Please feel free to get in touch. Always.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Good luck.
Mubarriz Faisal here. Just want to say my thank you for your time, and I'm hoping that once everything is settled and travel is on, we would love to have you over sometime in Peshawar.
Yeah. I've actually I've never been to Peshawar, and that's one of my bigger regrets in life as well. And COVID bhi ho gaya. So no, I have to definitely next time in Peshawar, I'll make a point to actually go there and meet you guys.
Absolutely. Thank you in advance, Mubarak, from all of us.
Take care.
All right. Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz.